Episode 10 of Pathways Plus is brought to you by Leanne Parker, Tally and Jeremy Polson, and supporters like you. For more information, go to www.pathwaystoenglish.org.
Hi everyone, welcome to Pathways Plus. Today, we're going to be learning about place value. Now, this is a new concept, and we'll learn the basics today. If you have a pencil and piece of paper, why don't you go ahead, get it out, and let's get started. Let's slide to see our learning target for today. Now, read this learning target with me if you can. Ready? I am learning to find and compare the value of digits. Great. Now, let's slide to see our keywords for today. Our first keyword for today is value. Now, a value means how much is it worth? For example, you might not spend $100 on a piece of bread. The value of a piece of bread is a lot lower than that. Today, we're going to be talking about the value of a number. Which value is bigger? Is 100 bigger or is 10 bigger? The value of it, how much is it? The next keyword is digit, and we'll talk about that in the next slide. And the third keyword is number. Digit and number are two very similar words, so let's slide to find out the difference. Okay, so I have a number here. What is the number? The number is 3,213. Now, what about this right here? This is a 2, right? So this is a digit. This digit is a 2. Okay, so the whole number is 3,213. This digit is a 2. And today, we're talking about the value of the digit. So the value of this 2, is this just a 2? No, it's 200. We have 3,200, a 10, and a 3. Let me just write that out for you. The value of this digit is 3,000. The value of this digit is 200. The value of this digit is 10. And the value of this digit is 3. So the digits are the individual single numbers in a whole number. Okay, so this is a digit, all the separate numbers. So a number is the whole, the digit are all the numbers that make up the whole. Does that make sense? Let's slide to what's next. So now I want to preview finding the value of a digit. So I'm going to write a number here, 1,472. And I want to find the value of each of these digits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what 1,472 looks like with some math manipulatives or some toys or little things that I use to help me understand math. So write that number down if you have a pencil and piece of paper, 1,472, so you have that in your head. The number I have is 1,472, and I'm going to use my math materials to represent the value of each of the digits. That first digit on the very left, the 2, what is the value of that digit? Just 2. So I'm going to get 2 little blocks, 2 of these little guys, and now I'm going to place them right here. So I have 2. Okay, now I'm going to represent the next number, the next digit, a 7. What is the value of that 7? The value of that 7 is 70. So each of these has 10 blocks. So if I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So now I have 70 of these. Okay, now I need to represent the 4. What is the value of the 4? 400. So now I need to take, let's see, so now these have 10 of these, and each of these have 10. So 10 total, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So this represents 100, but we need how many for the 4? 400. So 100, 200, 300, 400. Set this here. And then for 1,000, here's my thousands block. And this 1,000 has, if you can see here, I'll point it this way, it needs 10 of these. And remember, this is 100, so it has 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000. So what does that 1 represent in our number? What is the value of that digit? 1,000. So now I can show you that I have 1,000, 400, 1, 2, 3, 4, 70, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 72. 1,472. And what does that 4 represent? Just 4? No, 400. Great. Let's slide and we'll do some practicing. Now let's do some practicing together. So I have a number, 343,291. Let's write that all together. 343,291. And it says, what is the value of the digit? And it's talking about this underlined digit, the 9. So what is the value? I want to show you a trick that can help you out with this. So if you're getting a little confused, all you're going to do is you're going to bring that number down. You know this number equals 9. And then how many numbers are behind it? Just one number behind it, right? Just this one. So we add 1 0. So this really means 90. So really just replace whatever is behind it with a 0. So the value of this 9 is 90. Let's slide for another practice. This next number is 234,731. So let's write that down. 234,731. We need to find the value of this 2. So what is the value of this 2? Is it just a 2? No. Remember, bring the 2 down. Then how many numbers are behind it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how many zeros are you going to have? 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And remember, your commas go every 3 numbers. So 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2, 3. We don't need another comma because there's no number in front of that. So this 2, the value of this 2 is 200,000. Let's slide to another practice. Our next number is 477,302. So let's write that down. And remember, the 7, the first 7 is the one that's underlined. So we want to find the value of the 7. I want you to pause the video and try this with someone sitting next to you. So pause the video now. We're back. What did you guys come up with? Let me show you what I did. I took this 7 and I knew it was 477,000. When I said that 7, I said 70. And I saw 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, every 3 put the comma, so 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2. We don't need another comma. So this 7, the value of the 7 is 70,000. Great. Let's slide and do one more practice. This number is 6,210,199. So let's write that down. 6,210,199. And it has the 1 underlined. Okay, I want you to do this on your own or with someone next to you. So pause the video now. We're back. Let's see if we got the same answer. So here's what I did. I took this 1, brought it down. This 1 represents 1, then 1, 2 zeros, which is 100. So the value of this digit is 100. Awesome. Now let's slide and learn about another concept. So now what I want to do is compare the value of digits based on where they are or their place value. So let me just show you an example. If I have 3 ones blocks, I'm going to put the 3, I'm just going to hold them up, and here's a 3. And then I have 3 tens blocks. Here's the 3. How much more tens blocks do I have than ones blocks? So I have 3 ones blocks, 3 tens blocks. So the tens blocks represent how many? With all 3, it represents 30, right? And with these 3, it just represents 3. What do we need to multiply 3 by? 1, 2, 3 to get to 30. 3 times what equals 30? Think about it. We need to multiply 10. So 3 times 10 is 30. Now let's say I have 3 hundreds blocks. 1, 2, 3. How many more hundreds blocks do I have than tens blocks? So I have 30 here, and now how many do I have here? 100, 200, 300. So 30 times what is 300? What do you need to multiply 30 by to get to 300? So I have 3 of these, times 10 is 30, times 10 is 300. So 3 times 10 is 30, 30 times 10 is 300. Now what if I take these out? How many times more of the hundreds blocks do I have than the ones blocks? 3 times what is 300? 3 times 100 is 300. Awesome. I'm going to go to the board and kind of show you this with numbers. So let's go back to the whiteboard. So now I just want to show you what I just did with the blocks, but with numbers. So I said 3 times what is 30? And remember, in a previous lesson, we talked about multiplying by 10 or numbers with 0 in the back, and how we just add, we just multiply the two numbers. So if we did 3 times 10, we did 3 times 1 equals 3, and then add the 0, 30. So 3 times what equals 30? 10. 30 times what equals 300? So how many more zeros do you need? If you have 1 here, you have 2 here, how many more do you need to have 2? So if you have 1 here, how many more to make 2? You just need 1 more, so that means you need 1 0. So 30 times 10 is 300. Now 3 times what equals 300? So with that same thinking, how many zeros do you have here? You don't have any, but you need to have how many? 1, 2, right? So you need 1, 2 zeros, and then put a 1 in the front. 3 times 100 equals 300. Now I want to show you something that, let me rephrase that. So if you can see here, there's kind of a pattern. We have 3 times 10 equals 30, 30 times 10 equals 300, 3 times 100 equals 300. Can you kind of start to see the pattern? I want to show you something that goes a little more into it. Okay, I have a number here. They're all 3s. 3,333. Now, remember, this is a 3. I'm going to put this here. 3. This is a 30. This is a 300. And this is a 3,000. Every time you go up a digit, you need to multiply by how much? 3 times what is 30? Times by 10. 30 times what is 300? Times by 10. 300 times what is 3,000? How many more zeros do you need? You have 2 here, you have 3 here. 2 plus what is 3? Just 1 more, okay? But what if we go from this 3 to this 3? So think you go from this 3 to 3,000. How much more do you need? How many more zeros do you need? If this is 3,000, how many zeros does it have? 3 zeros. So you need 1, 2, 3 zeros, and then put a 1 in the front. So 3, and then times 1,000 is 3,000. Okay, Great, I know it's a little confusing, so let's do some practice problems so you can get more practice and more exposure to the concept. Let's slide to our first practice problem. Our first practice problem says, how many times more? 606. So we have 606, and I underlined the 2 6s. This represents 6. The value of this 6 is 6. The value of this 6 is 600, right? Okay, so what do you need to multiply this 6 by to get to 600? I'm going to go 6 times what equals 600? How many zeros do you need to add to this 6 to make it 600? You need to add 2 zeros. 1, 2. And then remember to put the 1 in front so you can do 6 times 1 is 6. Add the 2 zeros. So this 600, is 100 times more than this 6. So I'm just going to write 100 times more. So 600 is 100 times more than 6. Okay, let's slide to another practice problem. Now we have the number 233. So let's start by just writing it down. 233. Underline the 2 3s that it has. Okay, so we've written it all down. That's our first step. Now our second step, we need to pull out the value of each of these digits. So what is the value of this 3 right here? 30, right? And if you're struggling with that, remember you just take that number, you keep it a 3. How many numbers are behind it? Just 1. So put that 0 behind it. And then what's the value of this number? Same thing, pull down the 3. Are there any numbers behind it? No, so it just stays a 3. Okay, how many times more is 30 than 3? So 3 times what equals 30? All right, how many zeros does this have? None. How many zeros does 30 have? 1. So we know we just need 1 0 and then put a 1 in front. 3 times 10 is 30. Is that correct? Yes. So that's kind of how you can check your work. And so 10 times more is our answer. 30 is 10 times more than 3. Okay, we have 2 more practices left, so let's slide to the next practice. Okay, our next number is 1,418. So let's go ahead and write that number down. So we have 1,418. And let's underline the 1s, because those are the numbers we're going to find. How many times more? Okay, so remember, we wrote it down. Now our next step is what? Find the value, right? So let's find the value of this one. Okay, pull down the number. What number is this? 1. How many numbers are behind it? Just 1, so that means 1 0. So this really just is a 10, right? Okay, now let's pull down this number. Okay, how do we do it? So we pull down the number. What number is this? 1. How many numbers behind it? 1, 2, 3. That means how many zeros? 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. So we want to find how many times more is 1,000 than 10. So now our next step is to set up our multiplication problem. So 10 times what equals 1,000? Okay, now here's where you need to count your zeros. So you have 1 0 here, but how many more do you need to have the same amount? One thing that you can do is you can just cross off 1 0. If you cross off 1 0 here, cross off 1 here, how many are left over? 1, 2. So you know you need 2 zeros. And then add a 1 at the beginning. Let's see though, let's check our work. Is it true? Is 10 times 100 1,000? Let's do what's 1 times 1? Just 1. How many zeros do you have in that problem? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So 10 times 100 is 1,000. So 1,000 is 100 times more than 10. 100 times more. Awesome. Let's slide to our last practice problem. Here's our last practice for today. So the number is 7,244,720. So let's go ahead and write that on the board. 7,244,720. Okay, I'm going to walk you through the steps really slowly, but if you want to pause the video and maybe you can do it on your own, you can go ahead and try that. If not, I'm going to walk you through the steps. So let's go ahead and underline the numbers that it has underlined in the problem, these two 7s. Okay, now our next step is find the value. So that's 7. Remember, bring the number down, a 7. How many zeros do you have behind it? 2 zeros. Okay, let's do the same thing here. Bring down the 7. How many numbers do you have behind that 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now our next step is set up the problem. So 700 equals what? Sorry, 700 times what equals 7 million? Okay, now just like last time, let's do the crossing off zeros method, where we cross off 2 here, 1, 2. So we cross off 2 here, that means. So if we cross off here 2, you need to cross off here 1, 2. Okay, we crossed off 2 on both sides. Now how many are left over that we need to add? 1, 2, 3, 4. So you need 4 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what number do you put at the front? A 1. Okay, so we have 10,000. Let's check to make sure we're correct. So 700 times 10,000, so 7 times 1 is 7. How many zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it's exhausting. And you get 7 million, just like this. Okay, so 7 million is 10,000 times more than 700. Awesome. Okay, now let's slide to our lab work for today. For your lab work today, you have 2 different sets of problems. So in the first set of problems, you're finding the value of the underlined digit. So you're just finding, is it 10? Is it worth 1,000? Is it worth 30? Those are the first 4 problems. The second 4 problems, you're comparing the digits, or you're comparing the value of the digits. So how much more is, like for example on number 1, how much more is that first 2 than the second 2? Okay, so you have 2 different 2's. In the problem, you need to figure out how much more, just like we just did. So go ahead, pause the video now, and we'll come back with the answers. Okay, here are the answers. If you want to pause the video, you can check your answers, see if you got them right or wrong, talk to each other. If you got one wrong, see if there's someone around you that got it right and can explain it to you. So go ahead, pause the video now. Now let's slide to review our learning target for today. Go ahead and read this with me. I am learning to find and compare the value of digits. All right, let's slide and do some self-assessment. Give yourself a 3 if you feel really good about it. You got all of the answers right on your lab work and you're ready for the next concept. Give yourself a 2 if you're a little confused on something, or maybe you just got a few of the problems wrong, but you're almost there. And give yourself a 1 if you are completely lost and you do not understand at all. Remember, all 3 numbers are okay. You're just self-assessing to see where you feel like you're at. Great job today, guys. I know that was a little trickier of a concept, but you did awesome. We'll see you next time on Pathways Plus.